So, when I talk about predictions and where I'm at and where teams are at, a lot of people were caught off guard apparently by my statement that I think Carolina belongs in the playoffs, at least in the in the picture. And I do believe Carolina makes the playoffs. I've had numerous comments about, well, why is Carolina any good? I'm looking forward to this. All right, let's discuss. I got a question mark here next to Jeff Skinner because you got Aho, Teravainen, and Skinner on the left side. Who wants to go on the right side with Lindholm, Williams, and Stepniak? Oh, and you got Josh Juris down there too. Stepniak switch over, and does Skinner move up to second line? Does Williams play first line? Does Lindholm play first line? On the wings, the Hurricanes are very strong. Now down the middle, I'll give you this. Jordan Staal is one of the weaker first-line centers in the NHL. Bar none, in terms of scoring ability, in terms of what he brings, I believe he's better off as a second-line center. I don't buy him as a first-line center. I said it last summer, and I'm still saying it now. Victor Rask, much the same thing. I think they've got two second-line centers. I don't know that they've got a first-line center. Does that matter? Because Ottawa made the playoffs, and I felt somewhat the same with Ottawa. I don't want to trigger Ottawa fans. We're having a good summer right now, me and the Senators. We're all buddies again. Marcus Kruger comes in. Really good. I have him in the third line. Roster resource that I use had Ryan on the third line. I think Kruger has the better chance of being the third line center. And in terms of the depth, you have Brock McGinn, Podorowski's here. Zykov is on the chart, but I think that Giuseppe has earned himself a shot at being the first replacement. And Tolchinsky played a couple of games. Who knows? Throw the dice. And I don't have prospects. People will notice I didn't have the prospects in the Nashville. I don't have the prospects on the Carolina rosters, and here's why. When you throw in, and I'm going to throw back to one of my previous videos, Boston. I didn't have Bjork, and I didn't have Bleed in there. I was actually kind of surprised nobody noticed Anton Bleed wasn't on the charts because I didn't have room. Because I was putting in the prospects that people had required. Oh, put in the prospects. So forget it. I'm going with the guys that we know. Because prospects is just, it's a crapshoot. The guys you know. This is part of the reason why it's hard for a rookie to crack the lineup. Because a coach, a GM, they tend to really like familiarity. They don't like the unpredictability of rookies, especially when you've got a few of them. It can be tricky, which is why Babcock probably deserved every vote for first place in the NHL's Jack Adams for the fact that he got 10 rookies in the Leafs lineup into the playoffs. Carolina, right. Yeah, no, I can hear Carolina fans and other fans saying, you're stalling. I'm not stalling. This blue line is fantastic. This blue line is pretty damn fantastic, and here's why. Slavin and Pesce, who were they a year ago? No idea. I didn't have a clue. I hadn't watched Carolina games. I had no idea who either player was, nor did I care. I was quick to say that with guys like that they weren't going anywhere. Carolina was a mess on the blue line. Carolina was a mess in net. Carolina was just a mess. I was absolutely wrong. Slavin and Pesce, top two? Sure. Absolutely. Hannifin and Falk? That's your top four. Noah Hannifin is just scratching the surface of what he can become. And because Slavin and Pesce have become the top guys, Hannifin doesn't have as much pressure to make a quick turnaround and become the player that he was supposed to be when drafted 5th and projected to go 3rd in that draft. Klaas Dahlbeck and Trevor Van Riemsdyk, Blackhawks. There's a lot of Chicago Blackhawks in this lineup. They signed Brendan Kitchen, formerly Winnipeg property. Roland McCune is down here. McCune's an interesting one. He's kind of bounced around from the Kings to the Canes, and now is he going to make it? He's at the point where it's like, all right, if you're going to make it, now's a good time. And they have Trevor Carrick and Josh Wesley. I'm pretty sure that's the kid of Glenn Wesley. Smart move, having a kid of somebody in the organization. Hi, Matt Benning. Sorry, that's the last time I'll mention it. I like Carrick in the limited action I've seen of him. I thought Trevor Carrick was a forward, though. And yet they've got Carrick here as a defenseman, so maybe he's both. And Wesley. So, the top four is fantastic. These three, as their top three left wingers, that's really, really solid. Good luck stopping them. Aho could score 30 this year. Teravainen has to break through this year. And Skinner, he's a 30-goal scorer. That's on your left side. Then on your right side, I'm just going to go with Lindholm and Williams. Lindholm made modest improvement last year. He's modestly improving from year to year. And Justin Williams is still a 20-goal scorer, still capable of 45, 50 points in a season. Not too shabby for a guy who's been playing for quite a while. Stempniak, underrated, always capable of putting up points regardless of where he is in the lineup. And Josh Juris, hardworking forward, solid right side. As I said, Jordan Staal, Victor Rask, they were both better off as second-line centers, but you put the two together and who knows. Rask could end up being the number one guy, Staal could be number two, and vice versa. It really doesn't matter because I really think Carolina's going to roll three lines for the most part. They don't have the kind of depth to do the four-line roll that other teams do. But they can roll three. Kruger can play a regular shift and not hurt you. And I think there's enough of a mix of young guys and veterans that it should be a good, cohesive, solid group. But in net, there's a huge improvement. Scott Darling, formerly of the Chicago Blackhawks, worthy of being a starting goaltender for the last 2 seasons, and quite happy to be a backup in Chicago to Corey Crawford, now gets his shot. And he's been very vocal about how now that he's getting his shot, he's not going to blow it. And I believe that. Because to date, Scott Darling hasn't had a bad season as a pro. Not at the NHL level. Every year he's been very good. It puts Cam Ward into the number 2 role. Cam Ward, not the goalie he was in 2006, but that's not really his fault as much as it's just natural evolution of things, and some goalies peak early and some peak later. Darling and Ward is a very capable tandem. Jeremy Smith is sitting there as the number 3 guy in the American League waiting for a call-up, and they have Nedeljkovic as well. Although I think Nedeljkovic probably gets another year or 2 in the minors to apprentice and then comes up as a backup when Cam Ward's finally gone. So, I think the way this team's going to win is the ugly word. I think they're going to trap. With that blue line and the amount of solid forwards they have there, they have enough veterans to do this. They can play the trap. And they can suffocate games with this blue line. And I think they're going to win enough games that I have them projected to finish 5th in the Metro and get that last wildcard spot in the playoffs. So I scaled back. I'd said they could finish 3rd. I scaled it back to 5th. So when I looked it over and I looked over the roster, the reason I can't see them finishing higher than 5th is this middle. You know, a lot of people ask, I get asked a lot, what's going to happen with the Sedins? Well, here's the thing. The Sedins are in their last season, probably ever. If the Canucks are sellers at the trade deadline and the Sedins are like, we'd like to go to a team that needs us, and the Canucks say, you know what, we'll even pay half their salary, you put the Sedins here. Okay, so you put the Sedins, I know Daniel's left side, stay with me on this. So you put the Sedins here, you push that depth around, you've now got potentially a cup contender. The Sedins are no longer primary players and should not be relied upon to have first line minutes. But in a secondary role on a team like Carolina where there's zero pressure, they could be fantastic. So that's for Canuck fans who are like, well, where do you see the Sedins going? I see them going with the Canucks taking half their salary at the trade deadline to a team like Carolina. Do I think they're going there? No. Are they going there tomorrow? Absolutely not. But that's the kind of situation I could see. Because then you're pushing Ryan down to the number 5 guy. You'd have Staal, Rask, Sedin, and Kruger as your 4 centers. That's pretty damn good. And Henrik Sedin is not bad on the draws either. So you've got that. So yeah, Carolina, it's an intimidating left side. It's a strong defense. And I think Scott Darling is a better goaltender than a lot of people realize. Because he didn't get much of a chance to start in Chicago. But when he did, he was very good. His numbers were fantastic. To my knowledge, the strength of the competition that he faced was not weak. He wasn't one of these backups who only faces teams that are 25th in the league and lower. No, he was a good backup. He played a lot of key games for Chicago. I haven't seen a single Blackhawk fan say a bad word about him the entire time he's been a Blackhawk. So yeah, there's really not a whole lot else to add. You know, I'd like to come up with some grand prediction here, but I think 5th, last place in the playoffs, that's highly likely. See? And everybody else can disagree with me. Fans all over the world can say he's crazy, he's lost his mind, he's predicting the Carolina Hurricanes are going to make the playoffs. But I guarantee somebody's going to break through and make the playoffs that people are not expecting. And I think these guys can do it. I intend to watch as many games of theirs as possible this season. I will follow them with tremendous interest. Because I really honestly think this team's headed in the right direction. They could use a number 1 center. If they weren't in on the conversation for Joe Thornton, I'd be kind of surprised. But I'd also be kind of surprised if Thornton listened. Beyond it's nice you guys to contact me, but I'm not looking for Carolina in my future. But again, at the deadline, we'll see what they do. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. And I apologize that there's not a whole lot else to this. But to me, it's pretty straightforward. There's not a lot of openings on this roster. This is a pretty solid roster. You know, Dahlbeck, maybe, you know, better suited as a number 7 defenseman, but other than that, I don't see a single guy in the lineup that I say, oh, he shouldn't be in the NHL. And people may want to say that about Ryan, but hey, he's an inspirational story. So you want to see the guy continue his NHL career. So again, let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.